making sure the house was child-proof. Hey guys, it's Tanyelle and I am back for another talk about adoption. So if you guys are not aware, November is Adoption Awareness Month, and my plan and goal is to spend a day or every other day just chatting and talking with you guys about our journey, our process, and our thoughts on, or my thoughts on, adoption. So if you haven't seen part 1 of this, which is why I chose to adopt, I will link that right above somewhere on one of these sides for you guys to go check that out. Otherwise, today, let's talk about the process. Okay, so our process to adopt. So once we both were on board, and oh, you guys, make sure we pause and go get your drink. I just grabbed mine from here. So our process, once we decided that we were on board and we were going to adopt, we initially decided to go through DCS, which is the Department of Children's Services, because like I stated in my previous video, we wanted an older child, and so more than likely that older child was going to be in foster care through DCS. So we immediately reached out to DCS and said, hey, we want to adopt. We had already been through the PATH classes with DCS, and so if you aren't familiar with adoption or foster care, PATH is basically a course that all foster parents must go through, and it basically just teaches you about the process, what to expect with foster care, what to expect with the children, all that good stuff. So it is basically a course that you have to take in order to become a foster parent and to adopt through the DCS system. So we had already taken that course because, as I stated before, we did have a foster child prior. So we had taken the courses and thought because of that we would kind of have a higher, I guess, ranking or stance, or kind of be in the know when it came to DCS. So quickly found out that that wasn't the case. So when we initially reached out, we kind of got a lot of whys, like, why would you want to adopt? Why? You already have kids, you have an older child, you're a young couple, like, why? It was almost like side-eyeing us, like, what's your motive, what's your purpose? And we didn't quite understand that. So eventually we found a private agency, which was called Adoption Assistance, and reached out to them and explained that we wanted to adopt. And so they immediately jumped on board, was happy to have our family. So with Adoption Assistance, or any, I don't know, I can't say any, but with them in particular, we had to do a home study. And so your home study consists of your worker, your social worker, coming to your house, making sure that your house is appropriate, making sure that you have, you know, enough bedrooms or enough space. They're not going to be looking through your refrigerator to see how much food you have, or checking to see, you know, if your baseboards are clean or things like that. They are basically just making sure that you have running water, electricity, sleeping arrangements for, you know, the children that you want to adopt, or the child that you want to adopt. Checking for smoke alarms. We had to have fire extinguishers. You also have to have all of your medicines and things like that locked up. So making sure we had a space to be able to lock everything up. Making sure the house was child-proof, just in case we did get a younger child. and all of those things. And so your home study can take anywhere from, you know, 6 months to maybe a year, just depending on how quickly you get everything done and how much needs to be done. So we went through the home study process. It took us probably about 3 months. It didn't take us long at all. Again, we had already been through PATS, so we kind of knew what the steps were and what needed to be done. So we got our home study done pretty quickly, and once your home study is done, you are officially, so once your PATH classes are done, once your home study is done, you are now an approved family to be able to adopt. So we ultimately went on to Adopt Us Kids and uploaded our profile there and just started. And so if you don't know what Adopt Us Kids is, that is basically a national website of children who are available for adoption. So that means that parental rights have been terminated, and these kids are looking for forever homes. And so we immediately went on there, uploaded our profile, started reaching out to different states, locally, just everywhere. And again, because we were dealing strictly with DCS, we continued to get the side eye. It was like, what, y'all want to adopt, and how old are y'all, and how old are your kids, but you already have an older child, and you already have 2 younger kids, and what is this? I mean, it was really like WTH. And we found ourselves constantly have to explain like why we wanted to do this, where our hearts were. And I mean, it was almost like discouraging, really. You know, we went into it thinking, okay, this is, you know, we want something different, so this is gonna be great. And it wasn't that. So again, we kept reaching out. Our adoption agency, they were also helpful, but they kind of really only do your home study. So they are very involved when it comes to your home study, but then when it comes to the actual adoption process, they tend to kind of be hands off and kind of leave that up to you. So that is the downside with going with them when you're wanting, and let me just specify, when you're wanting an older child, because they tend to deal more with babies and younger children. So for us looking for an older child, they kind of were hands off, like, okay, we did your home study, and let me go back. So you do your home study, your background check, you have to get TB testing done, health screening, and finances. They check your finances. What else am I missing? So I think that's it. So your home study is basically, you know, them coming out to your house. Then you do a background check. Then they do a TB screening. Then you need a health physical from your doctor. Basically, you know, you want to be as healthy as possible, as you know, when you're, of course, bringing a baby into your, or child into your family. Check your finances. With your job, you have to get like a financial report to them. You have to show your bank statements. So they do check all of that, and I think that's more so just to make sure that you're stable, your job is stable, secure. They don't want to bring a child into a home where there isn't going to be security. And y'all, just wait till I get further down in this story. Craziness. But anyway, they want to make sure that, you know, as much as possible, that they're bringing a child into a secure environment. And then you do go through counseling. You have to disclose if you've had any previous counseling, but the counseling is very light kind of counseling. It's not intense counseling. So those are the steps. So we did all of that, and finally reached out to DCS in Florida and had found a little boy that was, I believe he was 10 at the time, and reached out to his caseworkers, and they were like delighted, like super excited, super happy. Was willing to work with us, you know, explain how the process would look, because he was in Florida, and how we would drive up to Florida and all of this stuff. But at the same time, we had reached out to different, like I said, we were reaching out to as many caseworkers as we could. And at the same time, our local private agency, which was Agape, reached out to us and said, hey, we have a little boy, he's 18 months. I know you were saying you wanted somebody older, but you know, he's 18 months. If you guys are interested, let us know, and we can set up like a meet and greet and whatever. And so we were stuck. We were sitting there and we're like, what do we do? Well, we said we didn't necessarily want like a baby, but he's not a baby. And we finally found an older child, but he's in Florida, and we'll have to travel to Florida, and what's that gonna look like? And so we were going back and forth, like, what do we do? And we decided, because the Florida case was kind of like, we would, once we approve you guys and we say yes, this family's a match, then we'll come out here. And then, so it was going to be like this long process. So we decided, well, since this baby is local, let's just do the meet and greet and see how that, you know, how that goes, or what that looks like. So we did the meet and greet, and instantly, I don't even know why I did the meet and greet. Like, what was I thinking? Instantly, you guys, when I say it was instant, it was instant connection to this little boy. Like, I was like, yes, where do we sign? What do we do? What is the next steps? Yes. And my baby, my daughter at that time, was also 18 months. So I was like, this is perfect. Yes, let's do it. So my husband was kind of like, well, you know, we still have this child. Let's think about this. Let's take some time. So the process from there was, well, okay, you know, you guys can think about it. And what you'll do is, he was with a foster family. So the way Agape works, and I don't know if they still work like this, but when we adopted through them before, they are basically an agency where moms can relinquish their rights. So it's not a DCS situation where DCS goes in and takes the child from the mom, but more so a situation where the mom can bring the baby in and basically say, I can't do this, I can't parent this child. And what Agape is set up to do is to kind of provide a respite for that mom. So, okay, let's try to work this out. Why do you feel like you can't parent? Is there anything we can do to help? How can we help you so that we can reunify you with your child? So that is how they work. So he had been in foster care since he was, I believe he was 6 months. So when he came into foster care, they tried to reunify, tried to help mom, and finally mom was like, no, you know, I don't want to, I can't do it. So relinquished her rights. So the process from there, once we were like, we're really interested, we went to his foster family's home and we hung out with him and got to kind of spend time with him in his environment and learn more, and really kind of decide and think about it. So after that, we met him, then we hung out a few times at his house and got to really spend time with him. And I was like, yes. And by that time, my husband was like, okay, yeah, I think, I think this is a good idea. I think this will be good for our family, to go in this direction rather than the older child that is, further away. And so once we went back and said yes, the next steps in the process was to again continue to hang out with him. So they would bring him to our house and hang out at our house with him, And then after that, he spent a day with us. So they would drop him off and we spent the day at like McDonald's or the park or somewhere like that for a few hours. Then it went from that to a weekend. So he came and spent the weekend with us. And then after that weekend visit, it was full-fledged move-in. So he came and stayed with us, and throughout that whole time, his social worker was doing home visits. So she would come every week and just check up on us and check, you know, his sleeping arrangements, just check all those things, see how we were doing, kind of gauge how he was doing, and all of those things. And that process lasts for 6 months. So for 6 months, the child lives in your home, and then after 6 months, you can officially apply to adopt them. So after 6 months, we filed our paperwork. We got an attorney, because at this point, we were no longer going through DCS. It became a private adoption because Agape is considered a private agency. So we actually had to pay for his adoption. DCS, you don't have to pay for the adoption, but with a private adoption, you do have to pay. So we had to obtain an attorney and pay for that attorney, and then that attorney set a court date for us, and we had to meet with the judge and all that good stuff. And once we met with the judge, then we had a court date set. We went in and they finalized our adoption. And at that point, the child, if you want to change their name, which we did change their name, so you change their name, you get a new birth certificate, you get a new social security card, all that good stuff, sign the documents, and it is officially legal. So from beginning to end, it took about a year for everything, for us to find a match, get a placement, and finalize the adoption. So very fast, very quick. It was really quick, really. So a year from literally home study, finding a match, getting placed, finalizing the adoption. It was about a year-long process. Felt like eternity for us, but in hindsight, we realized that that process did go really quickly. And again, this particular process was through a private agency. So we used a private agency for our home study, and we used a private agency for our adoption. So that is what that process looked like with a private agency. And that was our first adoption. So yes, if you guys have any questions about any of this, the process, anything adoption related, again, I will be answering them throughout this series, throughout this month, as we talk and chat about adoption. So please leave your questions or comments below. And if you've already subscribed, thank you so much. And if you haven't, please click that red button and follow along as we talk and chat about adoption and all that good stuff, and check out all my other videos and on other tidbits and topics. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.